Hi everybody, this is Dan Stolbarger, and welcome to our very first, what we're calling our KFIR Fellowship, which is going to be a Middle East update, as well as a devotional on our Bible readings for this week. As you know, if you're a member of KFIR, we're reading through 3 different books of the Bible, 1 chapter a day, Monday through Friday. And those books right now happen to be the book of Luke, the book of Psalms, as well as the book of Isaiah. But that'll be the second part. Let's jump right in to what in the world is going on in the Middle East, specifically what's going on with Israel. And this is going to be, shall I say, about a 10-minute presentation, just so you know that ahead of time. And I'll start with Pope Francis. As you know, a few weeks ago, he came out and he referred to Abbas as an angel of peace. And it seems that he's backpedaling right away. I should probably insert this right now, is that there will be a PDF PowerPoint that has pictures and where we got these articles from that I'm going to put on our KFIR page as well, that will be sent out tomorrow. This happens to be the week of June 1st. So Pope Francis backpedals. Francis was quoted as saying that anyone who does not recognize the Jewish people and the state of Israel and their right to exist is guilty of anti-Semitism. He went on to say, or in a sense backtrack, on statements that was reported last week when he referred to Abbas as an angel of peace. His words, the Pope recalled telling Abbas in Italian that he hopes the Palestinian chief might one day become an angel of peace in the future. And so obviously, by saying that, he's making the statement that currently he doesn't fit that category. So again, we'll keep our eyes on the papacy and the growth of anti-Semitism, but this seems to be the pendulum swinging in a favorable direction regarding Israel. Let's talk a little bit about ISIS in America. Basing their assessment on the increased social media chatter, American security agencies are warning of the possibility of an ISIS terror attack in the U.S. in the near future. U.S. security agencies are on heightened alert and have issued an irregular bulletin warning of impending ISIS terror attacks against American targets. And this is reported by in the U.S. by Fox News. Tracking support for ISIS on social media, the agencies have concluded, according to the latest information, that U.S. military bases, locations, and events could be targeted in the near term. This was from a news journal or letter that I get from Israel that's entitled United with Israel. So once again, we keep thinking that all of this danger is somewhere far, far away, and yet we know in the not too distant future, this war that's going on between Judeo-Christians and Islam is going to erupt, in a sense, in our own backyard. So let's make sure we're prayed up for what we can possibly do. And by the way, when I say prayed up, let me tell you that one of the greatest things we can do is to pray. The next article has to do with last week. The IAF, the Israeli Air Force, responded to rockets that were launched from Gaza into Israel once again. They attacked 4 terror targets in the Gaza Strip early on Wednesday, and it was in retaliation for the rockets that were fired into Gaza at Israeli cities on Tuesday night, which of course sent hundreds of thousands of citizens in Israel running for cover. They were accurate hits by the IDF. The IDF views the incident with much severity and holds the Hamas terror organization responsible. There were no results, or there were no reports of casualties in the Gaza. And the IDF spokesperson, Lieutenant Colonel Peter Lerner, said of the airstrikes that they are a direct response for the aggression against Israel. Once again, as you know, those in the Sderot or the southern Israel area have been the recipients of tens of thousands of rockets. Besides that, the terror tunnels that are still being built to this day. And so it doesn't take much. And Israel is making it clear that they're not going to allow one rocket to fall without some form of retaliation. Now let's think a little bit about what's going on with Iran. Bibi Netanyahu has sort of chimed in terms of Iran and ISIS, remarking on recent gains made by the Islamic State, known for its horrific methods and blood-curdling videos that we see on YouTube. Netanyahu says, as horrific as ISIS is, once Iran, the preeminent terrorist state of our time, acquires nuclear weapons, it will be 1,000 times more dangerous and more destructive than ISIS. Quote, I think we have to resist both ISIS and Iran. We shouldn't give Iran a path to nuclear weapons and billions of dollars to pursue aggression because of ISIS. He said, ISIS should be fought, but Iran needs to be stopped. If I look around at our region and the world, the most dangerous enemy of peace is Iran. And again, Iran is arming, it's training Hezbollah terrorists, it's training Hamas terrorists in Gaza. Iran is opening a third terror front against Israel in the Golan, and it's pursuing its nuclear program. He ends by saying, I believe that Iran poses the greatest threat to the region and the world. A couple more before we're done. Since we covered Bibi, let's take a look at Obama in the news. According to Obama, criticizing Israel is an important part of protecting it. Now, this is going to be one of those head scratchers, but remember, it is Obama. Quote, precisely because I care so deeply about the state of Israel, that I need to speak honestly to them. I feel obligated to let them know what I believe will lead to a long-term security and will be put them in the best position for their safety as well as to combat anti-Semitism. Obama mentioned security checkpoints and travel restrictions, which have been nearly 100% effective in stopping Palestinian terror attacks against Israeli civilians, as an example of the Israeli policies that need or deserve to be criticized. Really? He also censured the building of the so-called settlements, despite his professed belief in the right of the Jewish people to have their homelands. Never forget that the so-called West Bank is really the mountains of Judea and Samaria, places like Bethel, Mount Ebal, Mount Gerizim, and Shechem. Once again, it's the way of the patriarchs. I'll let you think on that one, or scratch your head, I should say, about that one. A couple more. There is a growth of anti-activity on U.S. campuses. It's once again on the rise. The past academic year has seen significant increase in anti-Israel and anti-Semitic activities across the United States college campuses. This was a report that came out on Friday. The anti-Semitism watchdog, the Anti-Defamation League, recorded 520 anti-Israel events on campuses during 2014-2015, during that comprised year. That's an increase of 38% over the previous year. It also counted 29 campaigns related to the boycott, to divest, and the sanctions movement, noting that this was double the instances that were seen in the previous year. The ADL also listed various cases of anti-Semitism on campuses, many of which involve vandalism, graffiti, and hateful epithets targeting Jewish students. These incidents are troubling, and they're generated heightened concern in the Jewish community about the atmosphere on campus for Jewish students. And finally, it was a year ago that, and it's important that we do not forget, that we remember the names. 1 year ago, Gilad, Naphtali, and Ayel were murdered, were butchered, were killed by Hamas, 3 teenagers outside of Hebron. And so this report, we want to remember their names. Now, in concluding, just the exhortation to be praying for the peace of Jerusalem for you all, and to pray that Israeli eyes would be open to receive their Messiah. Not only praying for peace, we don't just pray that for Israelis, we pray that for Muslims as well, because we know that it's a dungeon, a prison, that Islam has thrown hundreds and thousands of millions of people into. And so may the light so shine through Jesus. And so this is our prayer. God bless you. This, again, is the first report from the KFIR Fellowship. So God bless you all. Shalom.